years now, talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcoms have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy.
I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse. I've often said that I wished people could realize all their dreams and wealth and fame, and so that they could see that it's not where you're going to find your sense of completion.
Jim Carrey may have gone way off the Hollywood radar, but not in the way you think. Rumors have it that Jim might be sitting on information that could blow Hollywood to pieces.
I don't exist, so they're all characters that I played, including Jim Carrey, including Joel Barish, including any of those things. They're all characters.
And while he's out there playing it cool, Hollywood's bigwigs are reportedly in full-on panic mode, all because Jim Carrey could be their worst nightmare.
And it really felt like, oh, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore.
People are even saying Hollywood might try to end him. So in a world where billion-dollar empires are built on secrets, how far would they go to protect their image? Let's find out. Hollywood's got more secrets than a spy novel. A-list scandals, wild elite parties, and hidden agendas everywhere you look. At least that's what Jim Carrey seems to think. He's been spilling the tea on all the shady stuff happening in Tinseltown, and let's just say it hasn't gone over well. Jim's outspokenness has come with some serious drama. He's been dragged, canceled, and basically put on the industry's blacklist. Yep, cancel culture is alive and well in Hollywood, and Jim might just be its next victim. And other celebs have started chiming in, sharing why they think Carrey's in such deep trouble.
So he strives to just stay on what got him there.
Right.
You know, knowledge of his family, where he grew up.
Right.
You know, just all of that stuff that counts.
So why is Jim Carrey getting punished? What's he done to deserve all this? Well, Jim's not exactly been shy about spilling the beans on Hollywood's darker side. He's risked it all to drop bombshells, like claiming the Illuminati is calling the shots and scripting our lives. Fans are convinced that after he started speaking out, the powers that be pushed him into retirement and basically made him vanish from the spotlight. And let's be real, Jim's always been a bit of a wild card, with his eccentric vibes and deep dives into life's big questions. He's never been afraid to stir the pot, but when he started talking about the Illuminati and calling out Hollywood, it felt like he was trying to give us a peek behind the curtain. Since stepping away from Hollywood, the buzz about Jim's disappearance hasn't died down. Friends are apparently worried about him too. The guy who was once the life of the party now seems to have retreated into isolation. Word is, he's a shadow of his old self, focusing on his art since he made that big shift back in 2022.
You're supposed to say, you know, we're important, and you're supposed to say it's all going to be all right, and you're supposed to say that, you know, whatever you dream.
At his recent 62nd birthday celebration earlier this month, Jim Carrey was spotted looking pretty rough and almost unrecognizable, which has got people talking. Friends are stepping in to show their support, especially since there's chatter about how his rocky relationships over the years might have really weighed on him. The Dumb and Dumber star, who's usually known for his high energy and hilarious personality, has been keeping a low profile lately. His reclusive lifestyle is starting to worry those close to him, and they're concerned about how he's really doing.
I do believe in manifestation, power of that kind of stuff, but I don't believe that any of it matters. You know, this mattering is to me.
Jim Carrey recently stepped out for a rare public appearance on his 62nd birthday, January 5th, and let's just say it caught everyone's attention. He looked pretty disheveled and almost unrecognizable, which has his friends rallying around to offer support. Word is, Jim's been spending time in Hawaii, laying low, and steering clear of Hollywood. According to a source quoted by the National Enquirer, he's been keeping to himself and showing little interest in Tinseltown's glitz and glam. People close to him are understandably concerned. It's a big worry for the many folks who care about Jim, who's had some seriously rough moments these past few years, the insider shared. They also noted that he tends to withdraw and self-isolate, which has only fueled the worry. Observers couldn't help but notice that Jim seems to have taken a hit, both physically and mentally. Much of this concern stems from Jim's decision to step away from his Hollywood career and focus on art instead. Back in March 2022, he opened up to Access Hollywood about possibly retiring, saying, "I'm retiring. Yeah, probably. I'm being fairly serious." He left a little wiggle room, though, mentioning he might return for a script that feels truly meaningful. Otherwise, he's content stepping away, adding, "I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough." It's clear Jim is seeking personal fulfillment, but this major shift in his life has left some of his friends worried about how he's coping. Interestingly, comedian Tommy Davidson recently brought Jim into the spotlight again during an episode of Hotboxin' with Mike Tyson. Davidson was chatting with Tyson and co-host DJ Whoo Kid about everything from wild boxing stories to the quirks of fellow comedians. At one point, DJ Whoo Kid asked Davidson to name the craziest comedian in the business. Kid thought it might be Jamie Foxx, but Davidson paused for a moment before revealing his pick. While Davidson kept things lighthearted on the podcast, the conversation is a reminder of the unique legacy Jim Carrey has left behind. His friends may be worried about him now, but his impact on comedy, film, and even art is something that'll stick around no matter where he chooses to go from here. He said, "Oh, I don't know if there was a crazy one. I think the crazy one was Jim Carrey." At that point, Tyson jumped in and shared his thoughts on Carrey, saying, "He's awesome." Davidson went on to explain how Jim Carrey can actually teach you how far you can take one joke. Because of this, many people refuse to work alongside him in sketches. Davidson then elaborated on Carrey's unique work process and approach to comedy. Nevertheless, Davidson stood up to find some space in front of the couch where he could enact Carrey's style. He moved near Mike Tyson and acted out the entire scene, narrating everything that happened on the filming set while using his body to illustrate. Davidson said, "He's supposed to fall on the ground for a second and get up, and I'm supposed to hit him with sutures, right? So I'd say the line, right? And so he falls, right? Back, right? And he's on the ground, right?" Davidson then started shaking on the ground, mimicking Carrey's flamboyant body language that he often uses to create humor. He explained how Carrey kept repeating this act at least 5, 6 times, and no one could stop laughing. Well, this is not the only time he spoke about Jim. Recently on Club Shay Shay's podcast, he talked about why he is stepping away from the industry. Tommy shared his perspective on Jim Carrey's absence from the public eye. According to Tommy, Jim had achieved great success with films like Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, The Mask, and The Truman Show, but recently he had focused on personal growth and becoming a better person. Jim, a close friend of Tommy's, recognized the importance of inner development and non-materialistic accomplishments, such as being a loving son and a good person. Tommy then recalled memories of his own upbringing and how his mother's teachings about giving and gratitude had shaped his understanding of success.
My mother was the kind of woman that would we was on welfare.
Right.
We coming up the stairs with groceries.
Jim Carrey's journey in the entertainment industry has indeed been marked by both success and personal challenges. Despite his fame and acclaim for comedic roles in films like Liar, Liar, Bruce Almighty, The Mask, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Dumb and Dumber, and The Cable Guy, he has faced difficulties throughout his career.
Usually don't pick up hitchhikers. But I'm gonna go with my instinct on this one. Saddle up, partner.
Carrey has showcased his versatility by also taking on serious roles, receiving praise for his performance in films like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where he starred alongside Kate Winslet. Early in his career, Carrey faced the hardships of the industry, working under the guidance of popular comedian Rodney Dangerfield, who played a pivotal role in helping him explore the world of comedy and realize his potential. His climb to superstardom during the 1990s included notable work on the TV show In Living Color.
And said to him, "You have the perfect persona, the perfect comedic persona. I mean, I have, I'm cheap and all this, but the no respect thing gets to the core."
Jim Carrey's journey to stardom was anything but smooth. Starting out in the entertainment industry, he quickly learned just how tough breaking into Hollywood could be. As the New York Times chronicled, Carrey spent nearly a decade hustling, performing his comedy wherever he could, and working relentlessly to get noticed. Looking back, Carrey shared a little ritual he used to have. "For years, I'd drive up Mulholland Drive every night, stare out at the city, and imagine myself being successful, having the money, being sought after." But it wasn't about the cash for him, it was about being great at what he loved to do. Carrey's first big comedy gig came when he was just 15, thanks to his dad landing him a spot at a Toronto club. It didn't go well. Wearing a shiny polyester suit that screamed "trying too hard," Carrey got booed off the stage. Ouch. But instead of giving up, he came back 2 years later with a new look and a much more laid-back, messy-haired vibe. And it worked. By 19, Carrey had set his sights on Los Angeles. grinding away until his talent finally caught the attention of comedy legends like Sam Kinison and Rodney Dangerfield. From there, he started landing TV roles. But not every door opened for him. Take Saturday Night Live, for example. Carrey auditioned but got rejected. His audition tape didn't even make it to the show's big boss, Lorne Michaels. According to Michaels, someone on his team decided, I don't think Lorne would like it, and that was the end of that. They were probably wrong, but who knows? Michaels told Vanity Fair. No one gets it all right. Luckily, Carrey didn't need SNL to blow up. He went on to have an insane career and didn't hold a grudge. In fact, he ended up hosting SNL 3 times and even joined the show's 40th anniversary special in 2015. Talk about a full circle moment.
Enjoy the reunion, you know?
Can you really enjoy a reunion? Come on.
You are so crazy, Jim Carrey!
Even as he was starting to make his mark in Hollywood, Jim Carrey had to learn to live with a massive sense of personal loss. He lost both his parents in a relatively short span of time, his mother in 1991 and his father in 1994. Carrey revealed in 2014 that his father indirectly helped him follow his dreams. Carrey's father was immensely talented and could have shone in the entertainment industry, but was too afraid to take that risk. So many of us chose our path out of fear disguised as practicality, Carrey explained via ABC News. My father could have been a great comedian, but he didn't believe that was possible for him. So he made a conservative choice, and instead he got a job as an accountant. Years later, his father faced a critical juncture when he lost his job, compelling him to reassess his options. Jim Carrey reflects on this period as a valuable lesson, realizing that even seemingly secure choices can lead to failure. He emphasizes the importance of embracing failure while pursuing one's true passions. For Carrey, that meant pursuing acting and comedy, a decision rooted in genuine love for the craft. Moreover, Jim Carrey is no stranger to battling mental illness. His characters on screen are known for making people laugh, but the actor has privately fought depression for a long time, seeking professional help to cope with his symptoms. Carrey spoke about his journey in 2004 in a conversation on 60 Minutes. I was on Prozac for a long time. It may have helped me out of a jam for a little bit, but people stay on it forever. I had to get off at a certain point because I realized that, everything's just okay, Carrey said. Despite being an incredibly talented, versatile actor, it would be fair to say that Jim Carrey has seen his fair share of ups and downs in his career. Acting has definitely taken a backseat over the last few years, but Carrey hasn't forgotten his love for the craft. One of his fans wrote, "He lost his parents at his peak, but that didn't stop him. Every performance this guy did is comedy gold. Was amazing in drama too." Another one added, "He took his sorrow and turned it into our joy. That's a beautiful life. There'd be no 90s without Jim Carrey's humor. This is not it." He has also called out Will Smith and Chris Rock after that famous Oscar scandal. It all started during the 94th Academy Awards. Jim Carrey didn't mince words when he threw shade at the whole debacle with Will Smith and Chris Rock at the Oscars. When he was out there promoting Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Carrey straight up told Gayle King on CBS that he was totally disgusted by the whole scene at the 2022 Oscars. You know when Smith slapped Rock for cracking a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's haircut, considering she deals with alopecia?
Richard! Oh, wow! Wow! Will Smith just smacked out of me.
Yeah, Carrey wasn't having any of it. After Smith unleashed that outburst at Chris Rock, yelling to keep his wife's name out of his mouth, he still walks away with the Best Actor award for King Richard. For Jim Carrey, that was enough to stop holding back on his thoughts. He straight up said he felt sick seeing everyone giving Smith a standing ovation after that mess.
I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation.
Carrey didn't hesitate, calling Hollywood out for being spineless and suggesting they've lost their edge. It would appear that the actor saw that action as confirming earlier suspicions that Will Smith's rise might be because of things he had done to get there, and that is likely why he is still being protected. If not for that protection, Carrey thinks Smith should have been booted out of the Oscars then and there for his slap-happy moment.
You do not have the right to walk up on stage and smack somebody in the face because they said words.
Then Then King pointed out that Chris Rock chose not to involve the authorities in the matter, but Carrey asserted that this decision was solely because the comedian preferred to avoid the trouble.
He doesn't want the hassle. I'd announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because that video is going to be there forever. It's going to be ubiquitous.
Well, cancel culture is running rampant in Hollywood right now. We've seen so many celebrities get taken down for speaking their minds or for getting caught up in something controversial. And Jim Carrey seems to be teetering on that edge. He's been targeted before, but lately it feels like the industry has made him one of its main targets. He's been called crazy, ridiculed in the media, and even sidelined from major projects. Why? Because he's not playing by Hollywood's rules anymore. And shockingly, this is what Martin Freeman said about Jim, who even worked with him in a movie as well.
And I'm genuinely sure Jim Carrey is a lovely and smart person, but it was the most self-aggrandizing, selfish, fucking narcissistic bollocks I've ever seen.
Freeman never really got into the nitty-gritty, but it was obvious that Jim Carrey rubbed him the wrong way. And this isn't the first time we've heard something like this. Tommy Lee Jones had his own issues with Jim. After working together on Batman Forever, Jones actually admitted that he couldn't stand Carrey. Jim even shared that story with the late Norm Macdonald during an interview.
And he got up and he went like this, and he went like to hug me, and he said, "I hate you. I really don't like you."
You'd never guess this kind of drama was brewing behind the scenes, especially since Tommy Lee Jones was holding his own in every scene with Jim Carrey in Batman Forever. But this is just one of the actors who's had beef with Jim. You can bet there are plenty more out there. It probably has a lot to do with how good Jim is at stealing the spotlight. In anything he does, it's tough to outshine Jim Carrey in a scene, so it makes sense that some actors might get frustrated when they're no longer the center of attention, especially if they've been the stars their whole lives. Incidents like these could have definitely contributed to Jim distancing himself from Hollywood later in his career.
I could have done several sequels with several characters, but I felt like that, life is too short. I want to move on. I want to create. I want to annoy people that are, businessmen that want to take advantage of me.
Is this just cancel culture doing its thing, or is there something deeper going on? It might be possible that Jim hit a nerve with the people in power, and now they're working overtime to discredit him. He's hinted at it before in interviews, talking about how the entertainment industry is built on manipulation, lies, and the exploitation of talent. He's called out the superficiality of it all, the way celebrities are used to push certain agendas, and how once you stop playing the game, you're discarded. We've seen other stars speak out about how Hollywood has a dark side. Ricky Gervais made headlines for his brutally honest Golden Globes monologue, calling out the hypocrisy in the room. He didn't hold back. He ripped into the hypocrisy of the industry, calling out celebrities for acting all morally superior while living these lavish, disconnected lives. He even called out some of the big executives for preaching ethics while running shady business practices behind the scenes. Ricky had the whole room squirming, and you could feel the tension as he laid out the ugly truth about Hollywood's double standards. And it was all directed to freshly released Jeffrey Epstein's court documents. Ricky had called out the stars in attendance for being friends with Jeffrey Epstein and said, "In this room are some of the most important TV and film executives in the world, from all different backgrounds. But they all have one thing in common. They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow, famous journalist. He's coming for you." He was warning that no one was going to leave, and now seems like Jim proves to be the threat for this industry. He seems to be suggesting that there's something even worse going on, and every time he tries to address it, he gets shut down. What's even more concerning is how Jim's retreat from Hollywood seems to have taken a toll on him personally. Friends and fans have noticed a dramatic change. This was the guy who lit up every room, the guy who made people laugh for years, the life of the party. But now, he's apparently holed up, living in self-isolation, barely a shadow of the man we once knew. Ever since he stepped back in 2022 to focus on his art, he's been out of the public eye, and people are worried. Is it just the toll of fame, or is there something bigger going on behind the scenes?
And depression is your body saying, I don't want to be this character anymore. I don't want to hold up this avatar that you've created.
Let's be real. Hollywood is an industry that thrives on image, and anyone who messes with that image gets pushed out. Jim Carrey isn't just your average actor, but now it feels like Hollywood is doing everything it can to make us forget about him. Why? Because he's talking about things that nobody in the industry wants to talk about, and his fans think the same. One of them wrote, "Jim always pulled off being a beacon of light and laughter. Great his journey has gone deeper." Another one added, "Jim is a wise old soul who has found a new path to being a good human being. Bless you, Jim." He's mentioned before that he's tired of the fake smiles, the backstabbing, and the manipulation that comes with Hollywood fame. But by saying these things, it feels like he's been punished. He hasn't been canceled in the traditional sense, no major scandals or public disgrace, but instead he's been pushed out almost like Hollywood is erasing him from the narrative.
You know what they're trying to do? Who? This thing is buzzing. Hold on. They're trying to turn us into, consumer drones of some sort. Hold on, I just got to get this.
And it's not just his career. If the rumors about his self-isolation are true, it seems like even his mental health has taken a hit. Jim has opened up about his own experiences with depression and how those experiences have changed over the years. Describing himself as sometimes happy, the actor-comedian told me, "At this point, I don't have depression. There is not an experience of depression. I had that for years, but now, when the rain comes, it rains. But it doesn't stay. It doesn't stay long enough to immerse me and drown me anymore." Though he did not directly reference the matter, he reflected more generally on his life experiences, stating, "What's happening is really good, but there is some really bad in there too. Some people have come at me in the last couple of years with the intent of breaking off a piece of the Holy Grail for themselves, but the Grail isn't a thing that you can break off. I'm perfectly fine with everything that has happened, even the horrible tea, in life and in art. There is a lot of satisfaction about looking back at those things." On the other hand, Jim's been making waves, subtly calling out the Illuminati, hinting that they're the ones pulling the strings behind the scenes, not just in Hollywood, but in our everyday lives. It's wild to think about, right? There's no solid proof that the Illuminati exists today, but that hasn't stopped conspiracy theorists from speculating about which celebs might be in on it. True believers are always quick to point out evidence, claiming they can spot hidden messages in everything from a star's outfit to how they pose for photos. And Jim seemingly mocked that the whole of Hollywood is a part of it.
Oh, like you don't know what it is. You don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
You don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know.
We don't know.
All the comics and show business don't know what this is.
The dark side of Hollywood isn't exactly a secret. Stories of exploitation, of power, and shady deals abound. But what if Jim is on the brink of exposing something bigger? He's talked about the entertainment industry as a facade that masks a grim reality, and history shows that anyone who dares to pull back the curtain often gets canceled. That's it for today, folks. Until next time, goodbye.